Hey guys, how's it going? Delrith here, bringing you a rapid-fire style review for the game Monster Hunter World. For those of you that do not know what a Monster Hunter game is, it's a game that can generally be summarized as killing monsters, cutting their parts to get crafting materials, making better gear, and killing much bigger and bigger and bigger monsters. There's a lot more detail to it than that, but I feel like that's a general basis of each game. I'm gonna start by saying that this is one of the first Monster Hunters that I've really sunk my teeth into, and my opinion is based around a somewhat new player experience to the franchise. That isn't to say that I haven't played them before, and I have, but I never really got into the super late game of the series, and I definitely decided I would this time. I'm just going to get it out of the way and say this. This game is fantastic. Every single facet of this game is lovingly crafted and detailed down to the smallest prop. It was clear to me from the very beginning that the entire Monster Hunter dev team that worked on this game genuinely cared about it and was extremely compassionate about the game they were working on. I've honestly not seen a game with this much care put into it in a very long time, not since like The Witcher 3. In fact, I enjoyed this game so much that I've ended up playing over 100 hours, and I never once felt like it was slowing down or boring or not showing me anything new. I was constantly feeling a strong sense of accomplishment, and every time I turned around I would see something new about the game that I hadn't seen before. I also have to mention that this game has definitely been westernized, which is great in my opinion because it opens it up to be more accessible for new players than any other Monster Hunter game previously. As someone who hadn't been familiar in quite some time, I found it extremely easy to figure out what was going on, how to play, and the tutorial system definitely helped with that. They've clearly cut back on the extreme grind the other games had, lending to a much more enjoyable experience for first-time players. The graphics in this game are absolutely stunning. I ended up purchasing the PS4 edition for the PS4 Pro. As far as console games, this game is absolutely insanely well done both visually and aesthetically. I actually cannot think of a single thing in the entire game that I was disappointed with in that regard. Every single object, character, monster, plant, prop, all are highly detailed, and the scenes they're presented in as well are of the highest quality. It just ties into what I said earlier about the developers and designers clearly being passionate about this project. Weapon effects, particles, animations, armor, every single thing that I had to look at in this game was well done. Even 100 hours in, and I'm still stunned by all the visuals and whatnot that make every single fight and encounter fantastic to be a part of. Now, I have to say that I'm glad I went with the PS4 Pro, as this game will let you prioritize between graphics, resolution, and frame rate, allowing me to actually play the game at 60 FPS and enjoy it as I probably would enjoy it on my PC. The optimization was clearly something that they put time and effort into, and it definitely shows. Even on the standard platforms, you're not going to be noticing that there are many frame drops unless there's 2 or 3 monsters on screen causing crazy effects. What really makes this game shine above all else, though, are the monsters that you're going to be constantly engaging throughout your playthrough. Each monster has clearly had a lot of thought put into it, or been refined over 20 games, and each one even seems to have its own personality or character. What I mean by this is that each monster feels entirely organic. The animations, style, and abilities that they all use fit perfectly in conjunction with each other, and never at any point did I feel like I was disappointed with an encounter and not impressed by what I was seeing. Monsters will also engage each other when they're encountered in the wild. Watching them beat the crap out of each other and fight for dominance is one of the coolest things in the entire game, the monster who loses taking a staggering amount of damage, and this will help you in your hunt. They'll even interact and talk shit towards each other afterwards, generally resulting in one backing down and leaving to another area. These sorts of events really lend to enhance the world and experience, and I'm really glad that they put that much effort into customizing each and every creature you fight. And with over 30 monsters in the game, you're going to be seeing quite a few interactions in your playthrough. Also, this game has a story. This was something that wasn't really a focus or even really a thing in previous games. It was entirely decent, and I was genuinely surprised at how great some of the English voice actors were. I have to be honest, I was kind of expecting it to be really cringy, but they did a good enough job throughout the story with the people like the commander and the comrades you encounter that I was happy with it. Now, don't get me wrong, the story is nothing amazing. It seems to simply be there to guide new players throughout, but it does span for over 60 hours if you take your time, and you will not be at all dissatisfied with it in the long run, as it serves to round out the entire experience of killing monsters constantly to be much more enjoyable. I will say this, the way the story introduced his monsters at times was definitely well done, and really applies a sort of urgency to a few situations. You'll definitely see what I mean if you play the game. Also, after you beat the story, there's a lot more to do. The game goes and adds even harder versions of each monster for you to fight in a hunter rank system that you'll need to climb to truly see the hardest things the game has to offer for you. I'm fully expecting to get 300 hours of content or more from it once I'm finished. Another thing I want to briefly touch on is the unique weapon design and weapon customization and progression system that the game has. Each weapon truly feels unique and can offer a satisfaction to a variety of different playstyles, from long-range combat to close-range tanking. Every player can find something they're at home with in this game. Upgrading weapons is also as simple as going out and killing bigger monsters. You kill small monsters to make weapons to kill medium monsters, to make weapons to kill bigger monsters, to make weapons to kill giant monsters, and that makes it a very simple, rewarding, and not overly grindy process that is easily figured out by looking at the tech tree that each weapon type has. Every weapon will have multiple different element variations and multiple styles you can choose from based on the monster you want your weapon to be made out of. Electric type monsters will produce electric weapons, fire monsters will give you fire elements. It's easy to understand and pick up, and every single weapon feels fantastic when used properly. This same upgrade system on weapons will have you exploring the game to its fullest. It's definitely apparent that the system was designed to make you explore and appreciate every environment and every monster. A lot of the things I encountered in the game were found because I had to roam around and look for a specific material or component, and it felt like that process was very natural and not forced. On a side note, this game's going to have free DLC with a ton of monsters rumored to be added in at later dates. I'm personally super excited for the content to be almost doubled without having to spend more money, and I genuinely think other companies need to learn from that. Now, I do gotta point out a few problems with the game that I encountered throughout. The primary of these problems being the poor multiplayer system that was implemented on the version I played. The game has this guild card system that allows players to exchange contact info with people or friends they meet in the game. This system, however, does not allow you to connect to friends easily or join quests in progress from people you met previously, essentially making it mostly pointless. As well, if you want to join with a friend on the PS4 network, you have to hit options, go to invite a friend, pop up the PS4 invite screen, and then send an invite. Your friend will have to open up their dashboard, go to notifications, accept the invite, save the game, quit the session, it forces you back to the menu, relaunch their session into your session, and then manually join the quest you put up. Personally, I can't understand why they made playing with friends so tedious. They have an SOS system which allows you to dynamically and instantly drop in and out with randoms across all different sessions and complete quests without multiple load screens. It's much faster to play with randoms than it is your friends, which is definitely an issue I had with the game. Also, there's some sort of squad system that kind of acts like a mini clan or guild. But there's really no currently any way to promote people to be allowed to invite, thus requiring you to be online to invite anyone new and personally add them if other people you know want to invite them to the squad. As far as I know, at 100 hours in as well, there is no Transmog system in the game to allow you to use the looks from other armor and weapons. Double Cross, the previous game, had a Transmog system that tied into research. I was hoping that this game itself would have one with the ridiculous amount of armor sets and effort they put into the game and the customization. I'm really hoping that they add this in a patch and hopefully do not charge money for it, which leads to my next complaint. This game is going to have cosmetic microtransactions. I don't mind if they're cheap and reasonable, but on principle I have to disagree with adding microtransactions to any game you're already paying $60 for. I'm not sure the specifics or how they're actually going to go with the in-game marketplace, but it's always just kind of a slippery slope, and it has me worried that they're going to somehow hurt the game and not do it justice with this system. If I had to pay for a transmog system when it should be a reward, I would definitely be bothered. I feel like after 100 or 200 hours, you've kind of just earned that sort of thing. There's also the fact that there's a lot of mechanics and systems in the game that aren't fully explained or translated well into a Western setting. Weapons themselves, for example, will have a break or slicing value on them that you can't really see. Weapon damage and elemental damage are just numbers without any explanation, and at times the numbers themselves end up meaning almost nothing. Example, something with 1,000 power and 400 element translate into doing 40 damage when you swing. It makes little to no sense, and I really wish it was better explained. This also applies the same way to armor and resistances. You never really get to see how much of an impact armor makes on paper or how much of certain elemental resist will assist you, such as 30 elemental resist is 30% less damage. There's just no indication explanation, and this is definitely something I wish was better explained as well. Overall, however, I have to say that my experience with this game was mostly fantastic. I loved almost every single minute of the actual gameplay, and even while recording this review, I find myself wanting to go back and play more. I fully encourage everyone who thinks smashing giant monsters in an immersive world to be appealing to buy this game. I do not think you will be disappointed, especially if you are a fan of previous titles in this franchise. Because of all of this, I have to give this game the literal highest 9 out of 10 I possibly can, losing out on a 10 because of a few issues I listed above and from the fact that there's more than a dozen games in the series to date. This, to me, though, without a doubt, is the best Monster Hunter that has ever existed, and from talking with hardcore fans of the series, they seem to agree. There is room in the future for this to become a 10, but we'll have to see what they add with the DLC and whether or not they handle the microtransactions properly in their game. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this rapid-fire review, and until the next one, I'll be seeing you.